Is it a good move for Manchester United to sign Nuno Mendes this January? A tactical analysis suggests Amorim's interest lies in bolstering the wingback position. Mendes' pace, defensive solidity, and attacking prowess align with Amorim's dynamic system. His ability to stretch play and provide width could fix United's current lack of balance on the flanks. But will this investment pay off in the Premier League's demanding environment? You follow Gigasport's All Our platform. Let's analyze.
Today is going to be a sort of brief overview of everything Nuno Mendes on the ball. So we're going to be talking about the first phase, the second phase, and the final third. And then, should we continue to be linked to him in the future, at a later date, we will do a more in-depth video where we get into the nitty-gritty of him as a player. Today we're talking about an overview and how Nuno Mendes could genuinely transform the way that Manchester United play on the ball. And it starts off in the first phase, where in the past couple of weeks we have seen glimpses, and it is just glimpses, but we have seen glimpses of a slightly different structure, or a different positioning of the players for Manchester United, because we have seen two of the centre-backs splitting either side of the goalkeeper, whilst the other centre-back moves to the right-hand side, almost into a full-back position, and then the left wing-back drops a little bit deeper into a left-back role. Now, what Manchester United really need in these positions is a left-back. We don't have many of them, right? Luke Shaw, never available. Tyrone Malacia, probably not of the standard that we need, but also a lot of fitness issues over the past couple of seasons. We need someone who can be left-footed on this side of the pitch. Nuno Mendes could be exactly that. The question is, why is a left footer so beneficial? Well, it just opens up the way that we can play. When we play so many right-footed players, like Manchester United currently do, it really forces us to one side of the pitch, because everyone receives the ball, takes a first touch inside, and it kind of naturally always takes us towards this side of the pitch. Everyone drifts towards this side. If you think you're the opposition, trying to prepare to play against us, trying to set traps for us, we're so easy to play against because we're so predictable. Everyone wants to pass to the right-hand side. Suddenly, when you get a left-foot player on the left-hand side, it doubles your options on the ball because you can play outside the pitch or inside the pitch as well. But it's the fact that you can go outside that is so important. You see, when you come inside the pitch, naturally you are coming into the busier area. The area where there are going to be more bodies from the opposition, where it's more difficult to play through. Whereas having a left-footed player who wants to take his first touch away from those situations, down the line, it opens everything up. You can now play down this side of the pitch rather than always being forced inside. And the important thing is, when you play with more width, you stretch the opposition, you create more gaps, and it's easier to move the ball forward. That is something that Nuno Mendes would very much bring to this side. We can see it in situations like this as Nuno Mendes receives the ball from the left-hand side. Now, what he's always trying to do is get this first touch out of his feet and in as wide a position as possible. He doesn't want to move the ball inside the pitch into midfield. He wants to shift the ball out wide for himself, basically, to run onto into these positions. The first touch is always out into this area, and the benefit of this is there's more room in wider areas. Naturally, the middle of the pitch is incredibly compact. When you play wide, you get space, and Nuno Mendes is the sort of athlete that can really kind of take advantage of that. Again, a situation like this, receiving the ball on the left-hand side of the pitch, and what he really wants to do is open his body up. He wants to get his body open so he can receive the ball, get the ball onto his left foot. Why does he want to do that? Well, look how many opposition players are in the middle of the pitch. There's a lot. Out wide, there's not very many, and this is where Nuno Mendes wants to go. He wants to push the ball down the line as often as possible, take people on in the first phase, and then he has that expansive passing to move the ball further forward. This is why Nuno Mendes could be so effective. The other reason is because of the up, back and through method. We know that Ruben Amorim, and Manchester United in general to be fair, love this method of ball progression. Having a left-footed player on the left-hand side would help a lot. You can see it in situations like this. Mendes plays the ball forward with his left foot into these areas here, into the striker, it goes back into midfield, and then you can play the through pass. Having Nuno Mendes in the team would really help Manchester United in the first phase because it makes us less predictable. Having a player like Nuno Mendes would also be incredibly beneficial in the middle phase of the pitch as well. And again, one of the main reasons is because simply he's left-footed, he wants to play wider, it stretches the pitch, which therefore stretches the opposition. But also because, actually, as an individual, Nuno Mendes is incredibly gifted in these positions. I spoke about, right at the start of the video, pace and power. Nuno Mendes is an athlete. For me, one of the best ball-carrying fullbacks in world football at the moment. When he gets going, there is genuinely no stopping him. He is so difficult to tackle. It's reflected in his numbers, his dribbling and his ball carrying. is absolutely ridiculous. He is unstoppable in his position once he really gets going, particularly as he arrives into space, and that's exactly what the wingback system creates, right? How many times in recent weeks have we seen United building the ball down the right side, and the opposition, naturally, we know this now, are going to move across and try and crowd this side of the pitch. We have that far side switch, and in Nuno Mendes you have a player who can really occupy those zones. It's really reflected in his heat map. He plays very much on the left hand side. There isn't really a thought for him about coming back inside the pitch and going backwards or going infield. He wants to get himself around the outside, and that is exactly what Manchester United need. United haven't been able to capitalise from these positions so far under Ruben Amorim, but also last season under Erik ten Hag as well. Having a left-footed wing-back who will bomb forward is crucial, but not just any left-footed wing-back. We're talking about Nuno Mendes here, one of the very best. We can see him in these situations here. He wants to hold the width, he wants to provide that wide outlet. And again, his first touch is always positive. He wants to get at the opposition in these positions. He wants to square you up, and he's going to try and take you on. And when he does take you on, he's so good. He is so good in these positions at going past people, knocking the ball down the line outside of the opposition structure, getting into these wider positions, really flying forward. Again, when he gets going, he is absolutely unstoppable. What I also like about a capable passer, sometimes what we see are these big, strong, athletic players that lack the technical empathy on the ball. Well, that isn't the case with Nuno Mendes. He's not the smoothest player you're ever going to watch, but he's a very capable passer, and also he's got a switch of play in his locker as well, which we know Ruben Amorim likes. Again, if we're talking about trying to draw the opposition to one side of the pitch, having someone like Nuno Mendes, who, again, statistically we can see is comfortable playing the switch pass, it's perfect. It is perfect to move the ball from side to side. And that's, again, the really important thing here for United. It makes us less predictable. We don't just always get forced down one side of the pitch. We can actually go both ways and have a two-way threat. Nuno Mendes can move the ball inside with a pass, or he might fly around on the overlap, or carry the ball forward, or dribble the ball forward. It makes us so much less predictable, which is really Ruben Amorim's biggest problem at the moment. United are very stale. We get the ball and we sort of horseshoe. You guys may not like the term, but we sort of horseshoe in these positions and we just go round and round and round, because when we move the ball to the left-hand side, we've got no one willing to go past, to go forward. Nuno Mendes would bring it in abundance towards the impact in the final third of the pitch, where we know already Manchester United often have the tactical advantage. We have seen several games under Ruben Amorim already, where Manchester United attack with a front five and the opposition defend with a back four. The problem is, despite having more players in these positions, we haven't physically been able to take the advantage because our players haven't been good enough on the ball. We need someone who can carry the ball past people, who can beat a player. Nuno Mendes does that. But also we need someone who can go, again, I don't want to repeat myself, but down the outside on the left. We need it. Nuno Mendes can do it. And in terms of his deliveries into the final third, I think he's good in these areas. I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's like Trent Alexander-Arnold, because he's not. His final product isn't of that level. But what I do like about Mendes is that when he gets into the final third, he's not one of these players who plays the same cross every time. Sometimes players have a cross they sort of resort back to every time. It's always going to be the same delivery. But that isn't the case with Mendes. He can get into these positions and actually have a real eye for a pass. He doesn't just chuck the ball into any area. He's trying to pick a player out. You know, you might see a striker bomb in at the near post, but actually that's going to create room on the edge of the box. And Mendes is the sort of player that can find that. Again, being that left-footed dynamic, that left-footed player on the left-hand side of the pitch is something that Manchester United need and Nuno Mendes would bring. I think in terms of getting forward into the final third, he may not be the best player in the world in these positions, but simply his profile that he is, I think would bring a lot to the Manchester United attack. Again, it's a way to play outside of the opposition, get round the opposition, before we then come back in. And we've seen plenty of glimpses